Good day, everyone. For this session, this is now going to be the first or very first example of group of adjustments. Actually, we have different or various groups of adjustments, and I did not follow the order of Baliada's discussion. So I picked first accruals, and that's why you have it first in our discussions. So accruals basically are groups of accounts, either assets and liabilities, by which they have been called accruals since they are very closely related to our accrual basis of accounting concept. So we said that income or revenue is recognized when earned, regardless of when collected. And that is actually the concept of accrued income or revenue. So that is an income that is already earned but not yet collected. Again, the recognition of income is not dependent upon the collection or receipt of money. On another hand, we also have accrued expense or expenses in which such account or accounts is or are expenses, and then accrued expense is a liability that involves an expense that is to be recognized when incurred regardless of when paid. I repeat, cash is not important as to the recognition of expense. Okay, so let's discuss and let's have the specific source. So mind you guys that for the first part, anyway, that was just a review. So that's why you cannot see some notes. Anyhow, for this one, because there are computations, we need notes. Okay, so let's begin accrued expenses. These are expenses already incurred but not yet paid. Common examples are salaries, interest, utilities. For example, we have electricity, telecommunications, and water and taxes. So these are examples of expenses by which the end of the accounting period, again, could be month, quarter, semester, or year, does not coincide with the payment. Let's say, for example, electricity. So for the month of November, we have already made use of it, but the payment of that particular usage of electricity is next month, December. So here are some examples. We have accrued salaries. Normally, salaries already are incurred for the employees, but because of, let's say, certain ways of payment of certain workers, so some portion of the salaries are unpaid for a specific period. So this is normally applicable for employees that are, let's say, time is very important for them to be able to be given the salaries. For example, for the human resource department to be able to determine the number of hours worked and then to be multiplied by their rate to get the salary. So normally that's the basis of getting the salaries. And then there are certain portions which will be unpaid. Unlike, for example, if we say like fixed salaries, employees, wherein time normally is not an important determining factor unless there are absences. So the case of them will be opposite. So you have the salaries first and then deductions, for example, for the absences. So I repeat, normally accrued salaries are somehow typical for rank and file employees. So we have here certain examples like if the payment of the salaries would be on May 13 and 27. So for example, for the month of May, if we have already paid by 27, there would be salaries unpaid. Sunday is without duty, unpaid for 29, 30, and 31. So these 3 days would be accrued salaries. Okay, so example, if you have 7,800 pesos per month divided by 26 working days, by the way, 26 working days is normally the number of working days a month. So we get 300 pesos per day, and we have 3 days that need to be accrued because the services already are provided by the employees and the company did not pay them yet. So 300 pesos times 3 days times 2 equals 1,800. pesos. So we have here our analysis. Transaction is accrual of the unrecorded salaries expense. And in our analysis, our liability as the business, we are on the point of view of business. Salaries payable, of course, when we journalize, we do not put L here, so 1,800. And we have to pair that increase of the expenses, debit salaries expense. Increase of expense will decrease owner's equity at 1,800. So this would be our adjusting entry. Then, normally this is the so-called pro forma journal entry. If we say pro forma, that's a template. So when we record accrual, we debit the expense, we credit the payable, and we pair that with the appropriate account. The answer is 1,800. Okay, so that is an example. Another one is interest. Interest is quite unique because to accrue that, we need to make use of this particular formula. Interest equals principal times interest rate times length of time. Principal is the amount of the note that is provided. Interest rate is the rate per annum. And then the length of time will also depend as to whether we're having days or months for our basis. So if months, normally that's over 12. But if it is number of days, that would be over 360. So 360 is the number of business days in a year. So the business calendar. But the numerator would be the actual number of days. So that's how we are going to compute the interest. In this example, we have principal of 210,000 given 20,000, 20% rather, that is the interest for the year. And then this is good for 1 month, I suppose, because that is on the month of May, and then the computation is for that month. Okay, so that's 1 over 12. And so that we are going to simplify. Of course, prior we need to be able to substitute the values and simplify to get 3,500 interest. This is borrowing of money. Therefore, the company has to pay interest expense because if it is on the part of the provider of the note or loan, so it would be an accrued revenue, which will be discussed later. So sometimes it's just a matter of which perspective we are in. Next, accrued expenses are done. Now, the revenues. For accrued revenues, these are the revenues that are already earned or income earned but not yet collected at that particular accounting period. So, for example, on the part of electricity of the service provider, so there is already revenue at the end of the month, but the collection will be next month. Also for the interest that I've said, for the lender of the money, which is the bank normally, a financial institution, there would be interest earned, but the payment of that by the borrower or the collection on the part of the lender or the seller will be next month. So there has to be an adjusting entry that will be made so that we can now incorporate the amount of the revenue and the receivables. So example here, accrued consulting revenues. Our company is Weddings R Us. Then there is a client who wants to arrange a rush but simple civil wedding. So for a madly in love couple in the afternoon of May 31. The amount is 5,300, which is earned but unbilled. So there is already the amount of the revenue, but there has been no billing yet. Even if there's no billing statement or statement of account, still that is earned in the process. And the collection will be sometime later. So in that case, we are going to debit accounts receivable, credit consulting revenues of 5,300. Note though that this is applicable because, or this will debit accounts receivable because the consulting services are actually the main source of income for the organization. So remember, if these are the main sources of income or the main lines of products and services, we have to make use of accounts receivable for oral or verbal promises to pay. However, if these are additional income, for example, a certain business organization that extends money to certain officers, employees, or other organizations with interest, then the adjusting entry will have to debit the interest receivable and credit interest income, not accounts receivable, because interest is just other income. So how do we know if it is other income, if that is not the main line of operations of the business? And I hope that that is clear. Then another thing also for this one that we have to take note is that for some books, let's say interest receivable, they will use accrued interest income. So accrued income, which is also okay, which means the same as interest receivable. It's just that Baliada is using the receivable word, while for some books like Lopez, it will have accrued interest income, which is basically the same, which is also part of current assets, particularly under receivables. All right, so that ends accruals. Then we are going to have another set of classifications in the next session. Thank you very much for listening and God bless.